If you haven't been watching the news as of late, actor Alec Baldwin was recently involved in a horrible accident on the set of the film Rust that took the life of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins and injured director Joel Souza. I'm your host Johnny Rogers, and on today's Top 10 we're going to be breaking down all of the things you didn't know about the Alec Baldwin shooting, just to bring you up to speed. But first, if you happen to be new here, make sure you tap that subscribe button so you never miss another video. And with that out of the way, let's begin today's Top 10. Coming number 10, previous incidents. According to social media posts from people that claim to have been members of the Rust crew, they said that this production was not only poorly funded, but it also lacked sufficient oversight. Prior to the shooting, there had already been a couple of misfires from the props that resulted in a crew walk-off, which I'll get to on my next point. In response to these claims of prior incidents taking place, the Rust producers said in a statement, "The safety of our cast and crew is the top priority of Rust Productions and everyone associated with the company. Though we were not made aware of any official complaints concerning weapon or prop safety on set, we will be conducting an internal review of our procedures while production is shut down. We will continue to cooperate with the Santa Fe authorities in their investigation and offer mental health services to the cast and crew during this tragic time." Rust started filming on October 6th at the Bonanza Creek Ranch near Santa Fe, and these crew members swear that they saw multiple problems with safety on set for several days. Coming number 9, crew walk-off. Due to the reasons I mentioned earlier, the original crew of the film Rust decided to walk off the set in protest. In addition to that, though, they also claimed that the production had refused to pay for their hotel rooms near the set, and instead asked for them to stay in Albuquerque, which was about an hour drive from the ranch where they were filming. Several crew members also cited their reasoning for walking off the set was due to concerns over specifically weapon safety, with some also having issues with the lack of COVID protocols, which is pretty insane. You would think that after being out of work for so long, they would be doing their absolute best to make sure that the set was at least clean and a safe environment. Apparently, producers also called security to tell the crew members who submitted a resignation to immediately leave the location. And sure enough, this horrible accident happened just 6 hours after the union crew was hastily replaced by non-union crew members. Coming number 8, inexperienced armorer. Now, the real person who bears a majority of the responsibility in this accident would have to be the inexperienced head armorer Hannah Gutierrez Reed. The 24-year-old armorer has a terrible track record and numerous complaints from previous films that she's worked on. Just 2 months before this, she angered actor Nick Cage when she, without warning, allegedly discharged a weapon on set. This is according to a crew member on that project. According to a warrant from the police investigation into this matter, Hannah had said that she checked the dummy bullets on the day of the shooting to make sure that none of them were live rounds. She also said to detectives that the weapons used for filming had been locked up during a crew lunch break, but ammunition was still left on the car unsecured. According to the search warrant, she also told the detective that no live ammunition was ever kept on the set. Coming number 7, assistant director history. When assistant director Dave Halls went to grab a prop revolver for the rehearsal, Hannah had laid out 3 weapons on top of a cart. Dave just grabbed one of them, believing that it was unloaded or loaded with dummy bullets at the very least, and so he handed it to Alec Baldwin, believing that Hannah had done her job. The worst part is that this isn't even the first time that the assistant director Dave Halls has also had issues with safety on set. Back in 2019, he was apparently fired from the film Freedom's Path after a crew member had a minor injury with a prop that had also unexpectedly discharged. According to some people who work in this industry, Halls has become known as the guy that you call in when other people walk off citing safety issues. Director Courtney Hope Throne said that on the film The Pale Door, when she was let go from that job, they brought Dave in to replace her. She goes on to tell the press, "That's when they brought Dave in because he had a reputation for being lax on safety. Apparently, when the first AD walks off a project, Dave is known as the guy you call." Coming number 6, cutting corners. As I mentioned earlier, this tragedy took place just 6 hours after the film's crew had already walked off the set, citing to production that there were issues regarding safety, payment, and housing. According to a text that was obtained by the media, one of the union members who walked off the set of the Baldwin-produced movie said, "The entire camera crew walked off that morning for that exact reason. Last night we each wrote resignation letters. We cited everything from lack of payment for 3 weeks, taking our hotels away despite asking for them in our deals, lack of COVID safety, and on top of that, poor weapon safety, poor on-set safety, period. We wrote about this exact issue last night and walked this morning because of it. That's not in any of the papers. They brought in 4 non-union guys to replace us and tried calling the cops on us. Only people that stayed were Halyna, the DP, and Reed, the B Steady op. She had a kid, man, I can't believe it." And that day they ended up having to start late because the production had to scramble to find a replacement camera crew, and according to Joel Souza, they also ended up only being able to work with 1 camera. So yeah, they were definitely cutting a lot of corners here. Coming number 5, rehearsal accident. The single round that was fired from the revolver managed to strike both Hutchins and the movie's director Joel Souza. According to a witness, the single bullet struck Helena in the body and then pierced Joel's clavicle. Hutchins was then airlifted to the hospital but was later pronounced dead. Joel Souza was also rushed to hospital but was later released in the evening. According to the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees Local 44, they claimed in an email that the incident was an accidental weapons discharge, and went on to say, a live single round was accidentally fired on set by the principal actor, hitting both the director of photography, Local 600 member Helena Hutchins, and director Joel Souza. Local 44 has confirmed that the props, set decorations, special effects, and construction departments were staffed by New Mexico crew members, and there were no Local 44 members on the call sheet. At the time Joel was looking over Helena's shoulder when the revolver discharged, he saw Hutchins grab her midsection and then stumble backwards as people around her assisted her to the ground. Currently, tests are being done to determine if the lead projectile recovered from Joel Souza's shoulder was fired from the long Colt revolver used by Baldwin in this rehearsal gone wrong. Coming number 4, the 911 call. Mamie Mitchell, who was the on-set script supervisor, was the one that quickly called 911 for help. She is quoted as telling the emergency dispatcher, "We had 2 people accidentally shot on a movie set by a prop gun. We were rehearsing and it went off and I ran out. We all ran out." When the dispatcher asked Mitchell if the weapon was loaded with a bullet, Mitchell replied, "I cannot tell you. We have 2 injuries and this expletive assistant director that yelled at me at lunch asking about revisions, he's supposed to check the guns. He's responsible for what happens on the set." And currently Mitchell is being represented by attorney Gloria Allred, and in a statement to the press, Allred said that Mitchell was actually standing pretty close to where Hutchins and Souza were when the weapon went off. Apparently her office will also be conducting their own investigation into exactly what happened. Coming number 3, live ammunition. Authorities in New Mexico have told the media that they also recover what they believe to be a lead projectile that was fired from the revolver used by Alec Baldwin in the fatal shooting of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. 2 other weapons were also taken by police that included a single-action revolver that was actually modified and a plastic prop weapon that was also described as a revolver. Upon investigation, authorities were shocked to find that there had been some complacency in how the weapons were being handled on set. Aiden Mendoza, who is the Santa Fe County Sheriff, said that about 500 rounds of ammunition were found on the set during their search. This included a mix of blanks, dummy rounds, and live rounds, which is, again, absolutely insane. I don't know why any movie set would have live rounds there ever, especially in a case where they are using fake weapons. Mendoza went on to say to the press, "Obviously, I think the industry has had a record recently of being safe. I think there was some complacency on this set, and I think there are some safety issues that need to be addressed by the industry and possibly by the state of New Mexico." In addition to that, investigators also noted that they will be looking into the multiple reports of other misfires that happened on the set before this tragic accident. Coming number 2, insurance policy. You can guarantee that the family of Helena Hutchins is going to be filing a wrongful death lawsuit any day now after the news of her passing on the set of Rust. TMZ first leaked information regarding the insurance policy for the film, and according to them, it covers production a maximum of $6 million. The certificate of insurance written by Front Row Insurance Brokers says that the film's general liability coverage is limited to $1 million per occurrence, and on top of that, there is also a commercial umbrella policy that adds an extra $5 million. Now, to the average person, that sounds like a lot of money, but Helena was a rising star in this industry and therefore had the potential for decades of earnings. Not to mention, director Joel Souza was also severely wounded in this accident and would also be filing a personal injury claim. However, if punitive damages are applied and they show proof of recklessness or misconduct, a jury could award them much more than the $6 million insurance policy. Coming in at our number 1 spot, criminal charges. Recently, Santa Fe District Attorney Mary Carmack said in a statement that criminal charges could be filed in this case. The fact that she is saying criminal charges are even on the table means that the ongoing investigation must have evidence that would suggest this is the best course of action. During an interview with the New York Times, Carmack said that her office isn't ruling anything out when it comes to filing criminal charges. Furthermore, police investigations show that there was an enormous amount of bullets confiscated on the set, and so they are trying to determine what kind that they all were. When it comes to Alec Baldwin, Los Angeles trial attorney David Ring said that it's likely that he won't face charges for his role in this accident because he had been told that the weapon was cold and therefore safe to use. However, he could still be held criminally liable because he was a producer on the film, but we'll have to wait and see. Either way, guys, that has been the top 10 things you didn't know about the Alec Baldwin shooting. As always, don't forget to drop us a comment down below with your thoughts on today's video. But for now, I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy, YouTube, or at least try. I'm sorry to whoever has to edit this. Just know I love you.